Hey guys, I got in a new release, Reflex style red dot sight. This is coming from CVLIFE, and the model of this is the WolfCloak. Over the years, I've done a bunch of reviews for CVLIFE on their scopes and bipods and stuff like that. And for the most part, it's pretty decent quality stuff and very, very affordable. But I figured we'd do a quick unboxing on this one so I can show you guys, how it's packaged. We'll go over all the features and specifications. We'll kind of check out the lens and the dot itself. We'll get it mounted to something, get to the range, and then I'll come back and give, some final thoughts on it. So first up, I do actually like this packaging. Some of my recent CVLIFE reviews, I kind of complained that the box was just a black, generic looking box. This one has their black and yellow on it. It's got their name on it. It's got some picture stuff on it. I really like how this looks. So good job already, CVLIFE. So let's cut into this and see what we got here. So it looks like up on top, we have a lens cleaning cloth. This is our manual. Again, the WolfCloak. Looks like we have a couple of batteries. They are CR2032s. We have an adapter plate that can be mounted to the top of certain slides. It looks like we have a whole set of screws. There's multiple different sizes in there. And then 3 Allen wrenches. Got a sight adjustment tool. This here is a dovetail adapter plate. So technically you could like take your iron sights out of your pistol and put something like this in place and then mount the red dot on top of this. I don't think they're going to be including this plate though going forward. The early models had it, and then I don't think that you'll be able to get it. But there's all kinds of companies that sell these. If you'd ever want to put a red dot on your pistol and you don't have the optic cut on your slide, you can actually use something similar to this. And it looks like we have the red dot itself in here. Make sure there's nothing else. I don't think there is, but all right. So the red dot does have a little cover on it, kind of like a dust protector type thing. It's not the flimsiest one I've ever had, but it's also not the sturdiest. I really don't understand why manufacturers leave this like this, because it gives you access to the buttons, but you can't really use the red dot while it's on. I would just rather them make the whole thing just be completely solid, and it would make it way more rigid and it would make it stay on there better. This one isn't bad though. It actually does stay on there pretty well. I've had others where I just tip it upside down and the thing just falls right off. But yeah, in my opinion, just have the whole thing be one kind of solid piece that covers the entire red dot. And the red dot also has a Picatinny mount on it. So if your pistol does have a Picatinny rail, or you can even mount this onto a rifle or shotgun pretty easily. If you want to go to a pistol that's got the slide milled for an RMR red dot, we'll need to take this off. So we'll have to remove these screws here, pull this plate off, and then this will mount directly to our pistol. Before we start going over the WolfCloak, I want to show you guys a couple things in the manual here, just in case there are things I leave out. Looks like it's made out of aircraft grade anodized aluminum. It's shock, dust, impact, fog, and recoil resistant. The magnification is just 1 on these. Kind of shows you all the stuff that you get. They actually have very good pictures, very clear. The manual actually looks pretty decent. And again, this will show you that if you have a pistol that has a RMR cut, kind of how you'll mount things with that. This, again, we can probably, they sent me an email basically saying that future models are not going to include this adapter right there where you can take your own sight out and put it in up there, but the version I have does have it, so I'm showing it to you here. Try to show you guys some up close here, kind of as we're going around things. We obviously have our lens here. We have power buttons, and then there's an up arrow. So I believe this one has 12 brightness settings. And I don't believe that any of them are night vision. I think they're all just visible. So we'll go through those. Got a little bit of branding right there, and I actually like how that looks. Got our elevation and windage adjustments. Got a down arrow there. Got a little bit of like, almost like texturing. It's more for cosmetics than anything, but it actually does look nice. Instead of it just being plain flat up on top and then also through here, I don't believe that serves any purpose other than just being a little bit of a design in it, but I actually really like that. And as you can see from the rear, this is pretty high. So my factory sights, I will not be able to see them at all once I get it mounted. There's no notch or no channel back here, but looks like the shroud is really thick up on top, a little bit thinner on the sides, but that still should provide pretty good protection. Grab you guys some unofficial dimensions and stuff on it. Our total length is maybe 1 5/8 inches. Width is maybe just over 1 inch, maybe 1 1/16 inches. And then I'll do the height with and without that Picatinny mount. With it, we're maybe like 1 1/4 inches. And without it, we're right at about 1 inch exactly. And a weight with the Picatinny mount on is 2.3 ounces. I'll grab another weight in a bit whenever I pull that off. So I mentioned earlier that it was shock proof and dust proof and all that. Well, the recoil rating on this is 1,000 Gs, which is pretty high. And you should be able to put this on just about anything. Sometimes when you get into the 700, 750 Gs, you got to be careful when you put it on like 40s and 45s and stuff like that, that it can actually affect the dot. But anything that's over 1,000, you should be good. And the waterproof rating on these is IP65, which that means it's not submersible, but basically you can get wet from any angle. Like you could take jets of water and spray on it and it would be perfectly fine. So normal use, you'll be perfectly fine with this out in the rain and stuff. So the lens on the WolfCloak is multi-coated. It allows for more light transmission, allows things to be clearer when you look through them. And once we turn it on, the dot itself is a 2 MOA dot, so pretty small dot. And one of the best features about the WolfCloak is that it does have motion awake or shake awake type technology, to where after so many minutes, the dot will basically power itself off. You know, say it's in your holster, and you don't need the dot to be on, it shuts off by itself. As soon as you grab it and go to pull your gun out of the holster, it recognizes that movement and then automatically turns itself on. Same thing would be if it's sitting in your safe, on a gun, it shuts itself off. You grab it, pull it, it automatically will come on. And I will demonstrate that for you guys. I did want to show you, there's like a couple different areas, and I'll have to time it for you to find out. One of the areas says that it shuts off after 5 minutes and then will automatically come back on. And then when I was looking through, another area says 2.5 minutes. So yeah, it says 2.5 minutes. It'll go into that sleep mode. So it's somewhere between 2.5 and 5 minutes. I'll time that, let you guys know. So I'm looking through their manual right now. And in this area, it says after inactivity for 2 minutes, the system will basically shut off. You just come down here and then it says 2.5 minutes. So CVLIFE does need to kind of get that fixed on all their information. And it doesn't really matter to me how long it takes, whether it's 2, 2.5, 5. I just want it to say the same thing everywhere that they have it. And before we get the dot turned on, kind of show you guys what the glass looks like. Again, it is very, very clear. There's just the slightest hint of a bluish gray tint to it. I'm sure outside you won't notice that quite as much, but and even inside it's not much at all, but wanted to show that to you. All right, so to turn it on, we can press either side. And you can see that dot there. That's actually really nice. Let's take it down first. So I'm going to go all the way till I don't see it changing anymore. That looks like that's there. And then let's go up through the brightness now. So we should be on 1 there. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That should be 12. And that is very bright. So if I keep hitting it, it shouldn't do anything else beyond that. And I'll go back down through one more time for you guys. Personally, like if this were my carry, I would probably leave it somewhere in that maybe 6 or 7 range. It can get too bright where if you go to use it at night, it's almost too intense. And then it can get too dim to where during the day it would be kind of hard to see. But so I'm actually just going to set this down on the table. I'm going to start a timer for maybe 3 minutes or so. And then see if this dot does power off. If it doesn't, we'll know that it goes up to 5 and I'll keep watching it. And again, not that it matters a whole lot, but mine just shut off after 2 minutes. So as far as mounting this, if you want to put this again on a pistol or on a rifle that already has a Picatinny rail on it, just take the included Allen key, loosen up the little bolts here on the side, and then put this, and you can almost put it anywhere you want. When you have an open reflex sight, it doesn't have to exactly be in a certain spot because you shoot with both eyes open and all you're doing is just looking for the dot. So if you want to put it here, you can. If you want to put it here, almost anywhere you want. But yeah, mounting something like this only takes like 5 seconds. Basically, you're ready to go to the range and get the thing sighted in now. I do think the majority of the people who are buying these mini reflex sights are putting them on pistols. So I'm going to mount it to one of mine just to make sure there aren't any issues. And just so that YouTube knows I'm working with a completely safe gun. Nothing in the chamber, nothing in the magazine. I took that Picatinny mount off in order to mount to my pistol. Told you guys to get another weight. So without the mount, 1.2 ounces. And for any of you that are wondering, this does have an O-ring seal all the way around it. And then obviously the battery is underneath. All right, got that mounted to my pistol with no problems at all. My pistol has to use this little adapter plate, but it's still an RMR plate, so it went on there perfectly fine. Here's the length of screws, size of screws that they give you. I think that the 6 to 32 would have probably worked for me, but I just used the ones that I already had from Taurus. And you can see the dot on there. I will say that the cover does not fit on there all that well once it's mounted. That little gap that's right there, it doesn't allow this to slide all the way down. It might just be my pistol. I'm not going to knock this. But basically, you turn it over and shake it just a little bit, and it does just fall off now. And I've actually had these where I'll put them like in a range bag, and it's zippered closed, and I get to the range, and it's actually off in the bag. I've had them in my gun safe, different ones where I'll put this thing on there, and just somehow just laying there, the thing just basically pops off on its own. So again, not saying that this one's going to do that, but I've had them happen before. And one last thing I'll say is if you're permanently mounting this, you should use blue Loctite and then torque it down to whatever the manufacturer specifications are. It's usually somewhere around 10 to 15 inch-pounds. So make sure you do that. All right, guys, out at the gun range here this morning with this CVLIFE red dot. I'm going to put 50 rounds through it, make sure there aren't any problems with the dot flickering or shutting off, make sure that the glass holds up and there aren't any other issues, and we'll give some thoughts afterwards. I'm on one of the middle brightness settings right now. I just kind of want to show you guys kind of what I'm seeing through that. All right, we're going to take about 3 shots, kind of see where we're at on paper, and then make some adjustments. All right, so I'm a few inches low and a couple inches left. So let's make some adjustments here. So if we want to go up, looks like we need to turn to the left. Let's see if they're audible and palpable. Yes, I can hear those and feel those. There's a stop with every click, you can feel it. So I'm going to go at least a full time around, and then needed to go to the right. It looks like right is down, and those are audible as well. All right, got some adjustments. Put a few more shots down range. All right, guys, back from the range. Want to give some thoughts on the CVLIFE WolfCloak. And just so YouTube knows, I am back to working with a completely safe and empty gun here. So let me start by saying there were 0 performance issues with the red dot. It performed flawlessly, no shutting off, no flickering, no issues whatsoever with any of that. And so when I share my thoughts on pros and cons, just remember it's my opinion. You may disagree, you may like the things that I say are cons. So the first small negative for me is that cover. It doesn't stay on at all. So I'd like to improve that a little bit, and maybe even put their own branding or logo. How that says CVLIFE there. I think it would be nice if this said it or had it somewhere up on top or something, but yeah, as it is, it just doesn't want to stay on. Next up is, it's not really a negative, but there's only one reticle, but you know that buying it. So like if they make other versions in the future, I would maybe like to see one that has like a circle, a dot, a circle dot, just more than just the one single reticle. And I'd also like to maybe see a green dot version. Another, I guess, small negative for me is that the battery sits underneath the optic. So whenever this battery fails, whether it's a year, 2 years, whatever it is, I do have to completely remove this, reinstall a new battery, and then I'm gonna have to re-zero this red dot. I've got others where the battery's on like a little door up here that you remove, and you don't have to take this off, or a side loading tray that pops out, and then you can put the battery in that way, which is the way I prefer it. Another thing I'd like to mention is on the higher settings, kind of like 9, 10, 11, 12, there is a starburst that's pretty noticeable. I do have astigmatism in both eyes, but even looking through the camera right now, I can still see it on there. But like on the lower settings, like this is 8, it completely disappears. And honestly, this is where I would typically run my red dots. It's kind of in the middle anyways, like 7 or 8. So that doesn't bother me, but I just wanted to report on it. In my time at the range, I didn't have any trouble finding the dot or anything like that. Some people will prefer a slightly larger dot though. This is a 2 MOA, so it is kind of small. Some people for their carry guns, they like to use more like a 4 or a 5, but I didn't have any trouble with it. And the last thing I'll kind of mention here is that this red dot does sit kind of high. So you can see these are my factory sights here, and there is no way to see, through this. Some red dots will have like a little notch or a channel cut out, so you can still kind of see your factory sights, or so that you could co-witness with the red dot. So the only way to co-witness is to get taller sights, like suppressor height sights or whatever. As you can see, that sticks up way higher than my factory sights. All right, let's talk about some of the things I really like about this. First off, I think it is really well built. I think that they use quality components. I think that their machining and manufacturing is actually done really well. Some of these will have like some adhesive or glue that you can see popping out of there. I don't see any of that at all on this one. Everything just seems well built on it. As you can see, the glass on it is very, very clear. It does have that slight bit of tinting to it, but overall that is extremely clear glass. I like that it has that shake awake technology. Basically 2.5 minutes, it's going to power itself off when it's not detecting any type of motion. As soon as it detects any movement, it wakes itself up instantaneous and it's ready to go. I have tested this probably 30 times over the last 3 weeks or so, and it's worked perfect every single time. I like that there are multiple ways to mount this. Again, you can use the RMR footprint that's kind of designed for. You can use the Picatinny, so if your pistol, rifle, or shotgun or whatever has that. They include that Glock MOS adapter. And again, mine has that dovetail, but I don't think they're going to be including that anymore. But either way, there's still going to be at least 3 different ways that you can mount this. I like that they included 3 batteries total. So for the next several years, you should be good to go. I like that the glass seems really well protected. This shroud on here is really thick, and the glass sits back enough that if you were to drop it, it wouldn't get hit. The other thing that I noticed is after those 50 rounds at the range, there was very little carbon buildup on this. I've had others where, like, if you hold it like this, you can almost see the glass protruding out. And after about 5-10 shots, it's almost so built up that you can't even look through it. I didn't notice any at all on this. Something else that's kind of dumb, but I like it, is I like how there are the clicks with your windage and elevation adjustments. There's just something satisfying about being able to hear the click and feel the click. That usually means it's a little bit higher quality, not necessarily, but the other ones that just sit there and just spin, I don't know, I don't care for them. So these are actually pretty nice. I like that they include a bunch of different screws. You have different sizes, different lengths. So hopefully there's something in there that'll work for you. Another small thing is I actually really like their user manual. It's got great pictures in it. It's very thorough. Everything's spelled correctly. Overall, it's just a good manual. A couple more things and we'll wrap up. I could not find any information anywhere on the warranty on it. There's nothing in the manual, and there isn't anything on the Amazon listing. And finally, we'll talk about pricing. I got this at the end of December, and they were right around $70. They have been showing unavailable, which basically means out of stock for the last few days. I think they are just replenishing the warehouse, their inventory, and they should be back available really soon. So I will leave an Amazon link down in the video description if you want to pick one up, or if you want to find out more information on it or anything like that. Over the last year or so, I've come to really enjoy shooting with red dots. You can shoot with both eyes open. You can acquire your targets so much faster than what you can with iron sights. You literally just look for the single dot. Your follow-up shots are much faster and usually much more precise as well. So I do enjoy them. And this one seems like a really good one, pretty affordable with a lot of really good features. So I would recommend it. So all right guys, if you found this video informative or helpful in any way, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. And that's going to be it on this one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.